I keep forgetting that there's that second wave of free agency because there are some decisions that haven't been made yet, and maybe they don't get made. I feel like Utah, something's going to happen because we've heard for too long that the New York Knicks and they want Donovan Mitchell, and it looks like Utah is ready to break that thing down and just say, all right, see you later. I don't know about the Kevin Durant thing. Seems like they want way too much, and that dude's just going to be stuck there. But, I mean, if he doesn't want to play, I mean, that could be a real big problem for them. So, but that is a second wave of once that drops, there is now a bunch of other guys or teams that are like, all right, we're now done. Go ahead and come pluck us dry. Just give us some draft picks or other things in compensation. We got to figure out how to do that. So I was looking at those names that Keith Smith dropped, and he also did say this too. So here it is. Jordan Clarkson, Bogdanovich, Conley, Rudy Gay, and then he also threw in, hey, don't forget about Malik Beasley and Patrick Beverley. They think that they'll keep Jared Vanderbilt on that team. So those are some names that I'm interested in. I love Jordan Clarkson. Whenever I just loved watching him in the bubble. I looked at his contract. It seems reasonable. He's got about 13, 14 million over the next 2 years, and you got to figure out how to make that money work. I don't know how you're getting it. But
it's also, it's a player option in the second year at 14.2, so he might opt out of that. So It might just be a 1-year contract where he has the option of opting in or out.
And you're getting off the Dwight, let's say you get off the Dwight Powell contract in this too. So like that's a good option. You're adding, for me, it's a scoring punch as a sixth man that can run your offense while Luka is getting his rest. Somebody said, I don't want Clarkson. He's worse than THJ. Once he touches the ball, the offense is over. My thing is, though, once he touches the ball, he can either go to the basket or shoot. So that's I don't think that I'm expecting Tim Hardaway Jr. to run to the basket that often. More often than not, he's going to try to shoot.
So I like what you're saying. I wonder, without getting a trade exception, since you didn't get any, this is where I hope the Mavericks would get something. Okay. I know trade exceptions 95% of the time are never used. But if you would have got a $13 or $14 million trade exception out of the Jalen Brunson thing, if you could have worked out that, now you can say, hey, you don't have to take back $11 million. We're just going to give you the trade exception for Patrick Beverley or Jordan Clarkson. And now all of a sudden you didn't have to give them because they don't want, I talked to David Lord, who listens to the show, friend of mine. He's a genius when it comes to the salary cap stuff. Somebody to follow on Twitter if you want to know salary cap stuff with the Dallas Mavericks is, he said, Mike, you got to stop looking at Dwight Powell as a basketball player. The NBA doesn't even look at him as a basketball player. He's not a useful player. He's $11 million of an expiring contract. So It's just $11 million expiring. But I don't think Utah is going to be like, oh, we'll trade you an expiring contract of a better player for an expiring contract of a worse player. You're going to have to add something to it to make it work. So that being said, I don't know how much we can do there with Dwight Powell, because Patrick Beverley's an expiring contract. You can look at it as Jordan Clarkson is pretty much an expiring contract who will probably opt out of the last year of his contract to get a long-term deal. So we're limited in what we can offer. Here's the other thing too, which people always forget. I was talking to my buddy today. In fact, I was telling, I think, Sean about this too. People still forget we don't have next year's first-round pick. We still owe that to Porzingis. For trading to the New York Knicks, we still have not paid off the first-round picks that we gave to the New York Knicks. That's why the Knicks, when they say, hey, they have like 8 or 11 first-round picks here in the next 6 or 7 years, well, part of that is one of our picks. The 2023 pick is conveyed to the New York Knicks because of the Porzingis trade. So we're limited in offering first-round picks. So that being said, I like what you're talking about. I like that maybe we can pick from Utah. I wish we had a trade exception to use, and then we could say, I think Utah would be interested in, I can just not pay $13 million to Patrick Beverley.
Right.
Here, take them. We'll take the trade exception, and now we don't have to pay these $13 million because right now they're at $140 million for a below-average team right now. And they would probably want the roster spot because when they trade Donovan Mitchell, it sounds like to the New York Knicks. In fact, when I talked to my buddy who we might have on if this all goes down, because he's excited about Jalen Brunson, if they get Donovan Mitchell, when Worldwide West, when Allen Houston and when Julius Randle all came to game 1 of the NBA playoffs here in Dallas versus the Utah Jazz, I said, man, you guys are putting on the full court press in game 1 for Jalen Brunson, aren't you? Sitting first row, watching him. And he's not part of the New York Knicks organization. We said, Mike, I really think they're there for Donovan Mitchell more than Jalen Brunson. He said, yes, they want Jalen Brunson. They like Jalen Brunson. I think that they're looking at, if Utah loses this series, there's a better chance that they can go get Donovan Mitchell in the offseason. And they got Jalen Brunson, and now it looks like they're going to also get Donovan Mitchell. My money's on Donovan Mitchell will be a New York Knick to start next year. But that being said, Donovan Mitchell makes $30.5 million. They got to match that salary. The New York Knicks, they are now at the cap, over the cap. Same thing with Utah Jazz. So you have to send back approximately $25 million in salary, which is probably going to be multiple players. So it'll be interesting if they try to. They could, and this is where the extra spot comes in. I know I'm talking a lot, but when Chuck Cooperstein said, hey, and the Mavs have that extra roster spot. Well, let's just say you get RJ Barrett, you get Quentin Grimes, you get Emmanuel Quickley, and you get draft picks for Donovan Mitchell. They don't have 3 roster spots open. So now all of a sudden they're going to look at Rudy Gay or Patrick Beverly, and they're going to go, hey, you guys don't want to be here, right? And they're going to be like, no, we don't want to be on a rebuilder. We're old.
Yeah.
They're going to say,
and they got a lot of old, like 30-year-old guys.
We can't really trade you and take anything back because we don't have any roster spots available. In fact, we don't have any roster spots for you after making this Donovan Mitchell trade. Will you take $10 million, Patrick Beverly, and can we just buy you out? Now, free agency's over. The Dallas Mavericks have a roster spot available. Hey, Patrick Beverly, we can only offer you veteran minimum, and we might still lose because that's all we have available to give. We can offer you $1.2 million or whatever league minimum is pretty much. You want to come here and be our backup point guard and be on a team that we think can make it back to the conference finals? I don't know. Does he choose that over, I don't know, the LA Lakers? Does he choose that over
Luka? They're on court back and forth.
He talks highly of Luka on ESPN.
Okay.
That's all I can say about that, is that he talks highly of Luka when he was on ESPN during the playoffs.
Seemed like they really did not like each other on the court, which might just be that's just how competitive dudes are. They can still have respect for each other, but on the court, they are not going to be kind towards each other. But when Luka started, he started the 2 small with Patrick Beverly, and I just kind of always wondered about how that would fit. But that sounds like, I mean, I would take that guy, a defensive guy that can run your offense whenever Luka's not on the court. Yeah.
My opinion, I would rather have Jordan Clarkson than Patrick Beverly. I think a lot of people would disagree with me because Patrick Beverly they're total opposites. One is all offense, no defense. One is all defense, pretty much no offense.
Okay.
And so, but I would rather have Jordan Clarkson. My personal opinion was I would rather have what you're talking about. I'd rather have our Jason Terry off the bench.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? You're going to come into the game with about 4 minutes left in the first quarter, and you're going to get to play with Luka the last 4 minutes. And then the next 6 minutes of basketball in the second quarter, it is Jordan Clarkson time. And we saw what that can be for the Utah Jazz. I don't think he'd be on your closing 5-man lineup.
No, I don't think so either.
But I think he could provide 16 points off the bench. But to that person, he can be Tim Hardaway Jr. like. I do think he's a better overall scorer than Tim Hardaway Jr. is.